Good evening. Good evening, curious people of the internet. This is Seda Radar speaking at the Entrepreneur's Kitchen with a super special episode with Micheal Einziger of the Incubus. Hey, Micheal.
Hi, Seda. How are you?
I'm really fine. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's wonderful to see your face and to hear your voice. And you look
Same here,
beautiful.
man. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah. Well, you don't age ever, so it never seems like any time has passed.
Thank you. That's so lovely of you. Same with you. I mean, when was it? We've seen each other like maybe a year ago and a half, something like
Yeah,
that was
something
the
like that.
last time. Yeah. Too bad that you're not able to tour right now. So how is this whole Corona thing affecting you actually right now?
Yeah, I actually would have been in Vienna
Mm-hmm.
sometime, like I don't remember what the exact date is, but I think in June, sometime very close to now. We were supposed to be touring in Europe,
Yeah.
playing some festivals, and uh, and it all got postponed or canceled or whatever. It's
Mm.
we'll make up the shows if we whenever we have the opportunity to. But yeah, this has been a very unprecedented, sort of a strange time. I've certainly never seen anything like this in my lifetime. So
Yeah.
um, it's definitely like unique. Um, so we make the best of it, right?
You totally do. I mean, you brought out an album, an EP just recently.
Yep.
And it's, as far as I can tell, it's going extremely well, given the circumstances. It's amazing. And we were already talking right before the show that this is actually one of the most productive times you can have because you've been on the road all the time. Tell us about it a little bit. And you said that you rediscovered your passion for cooking.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's one of the things about this sort of strange time that we're in is like we're really trying to minimize um, how many times we have to go out to get things like from the
Mm.
store and go to the supermarket and get groceries and things like that. So coincidentally, before this all happened, we had started planting our garden, so we're growing a lot of
Ah,
vegetables and fruits at our where we live, and so that's really been great. And things are starting to get pretty like mature now. So we're gonna have very soon. We're gonna have artichokes and corn and all kinds of different peas and carrots and different types of greens like kale and spinach and bok choy, and so we just grow like a lot of different
that's really
vegetables.
cool. But how much can you grow like per week? Can you grow so much that that two people and two little kids can survive on that?
Oh yeah, we'll have more food than we can eat. It's just
Oh,
it's more like the time that it takes to get to the point where you can actually harvest things and
okay.
eat them.
Hmm.
It's like we planted everything about 2 months ago, so everything is starting to really get mature now, and now we're really in springtime. So it's like
Mm,
everything is growing like crazy, especially here
beautiful.
in Southern California. Where everything grows here pretty much year round. We have pretty mild weather, so
Hmm.
it's great to grow things here. And it's something, gardening is something that I've loved for many years. And, now that I'm a parent, my wife, Anne Marie, and I, we have twin girls who just turned 3 years old. So we share these
Yeah.
things with our little ones, and it's great. It's like rediscovering everything all over again.
Mm,
But that, and then also the fact that we're trying to not go to the store as much as possible. We're cooking every meal at home, which
mm,
normally, like for us, we were eating in restaurants or ordering out from restaurants pretty much all the time. Like
yeah.
we're not really cooking at home. So
Hmm.
this is like a big change for us. But yeah, like I've been cooking every day, like all the time. And it's been
So
really
what's what are your some of your favorite dishes?
So I've gotten really good at making pad thai.
Oh, I love it. I love
I
it.
love
You
pad. Yeah,
remember that place in Cambridge we used to
of
go?
course, of course.
Awesome.
How could I forget? Of course. Um,
Hilarious. Cool.
yeah. So I make yeah I make spicy pad thai noodles, and with
Awesome.
vegetables and tofu, and it's fantastic. I've gotten good at it.
That's really
My
good.
family loves it. My wife and we also have our nanny. She lives with us. She helps us with the kids, and we're very lucky that she's here with us because it's just, you know, parenting is challenging. So we're very, very, very thankful and grateful that we have, you know, help. So
yeah, that's amazing. You know, for this time, it's really hilarious because my mom came to visit us from Turkey. You know, I was planning some business trips, and then my mom came in to help us for the time while I was away, and then suddenly all the airports shut down, so she more or less stranded here. She can't go back home to Istanbul, so it's been 2 months that she's been with us, and I was like, thank God.
I know, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're very lucky. Yeah, you're lucky.
Although if you would ask her, we should probably say
ask me this.
Well, I mean, she's been feeding us. She's been helping so much. That's amazing. By the way, just before I forget, guys, if you want to ask Mike any questions about how to grow your, you know, food in your garden, you can go to Salado 37068 37068. So if you have any questions about music and entrepreneurship and creativity and food, this is your chance. So I am going to be doing a broccoli cream soup, which is great for tomorrow because it's already quite late. We had our dinner, and all you need is an onion, some cream, and a broccoli and butter. That's it. So I will be doing it, you know, while we talk, just like in the old days, man. How about you?
So
you're about to have your lunch, so I'm assuming you're not cooking.
So I'm just making my coffee.
Okay. Before lunch.
This is my second cup of coffee today, and this is awesome. like I need this.
Yeah, that's how musicians survive.
Yes.
So I mean, we were well done. We were talking about this also right before we went online about, you know, how much time you spend on the road as a touring musician, as such a famous band, and then learn how to manage your time so efficiently. So it's like there is a switch and then you're in this other thing and you can fully concentrate. Is there a secret to that, Mike?
You know, if you were to probably ask like somebody who really efficiently plans their time, I probably have like the worst habits of anyone you've ever seen. See, it's sort of my blessing and my curse is that the way that I get things done is that like I become obsessed with them. The things that I need to get done, like, so I try, and that's why I try and spend my time doing things that I love doing and things that I am genuinely like really, really interested in, because if I'm sort of that engaged with whatever it is I'm trying to do, you have to stop me from doing it. Like I can't stop. Like I get so obsessed with it that I can't stop doing it. So that's kind of like, you know, I'm constantly working at 4 o'clock in the morning, at, you know, at all hours of the day, night, whatever. And it's probably not like, it doesn't probably fit into like, I think what people would classically consider like sort of efficient use of time. But I just, you know, my brain is always working on these things. So I'm just always thinking about things. So I don't necessarily have, if I don't have any kind of secret or anything like that, but I would just say that generally, if you really love the thing that you're doing, you're going to work so much harder at it and you're going to enjoy it, because it's like, it becomes something that you, when I work, it relieves my stress in a way, like, you know, it's therapeutic.
It fulfills, yeah.
So I don't know, that might not be the best answer, but it's definitely like my answer, you know.
But what are some of those things that get you really hooked?
So, I'll go back to music for me, which like everything always leads back to music for me,
Mm.
always, and it always has. But when I was like, a young kid and I first started playing guitar, I became obsessed with that. And, like it would be 4 o'clock in the morning and, my mom would come into my bedroom and say, you need to go to sleep. You have to be up for school in 2 hours, like
Oh my God.
that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But everything I ever got that excited about in my life, whatever it was, whether it was, musically or something intellectual, some intellectual pursuit, like I always
Mhm.
wanted to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So I would be working on it all the time. And
Mm.
and so once it was like that with playing, and once I got like sort of proficient enough at playing a guitar or any instrument for that matter, that I could write my own music, that I could write my own
Mhm.
ideas, then I got so obsessed with that that I just like all I wanted to do was do that. I remember having this very profound thought, like if could learn how to make recordings, you would never see me again. Like I would just be at home. I would never leave home. I would just be working on making recordings. And I did that for a very
Yeah.
long time, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I think you got a little taste of that while I was at Harvard.
Yeah. It was amazing. You were like, when are we seeing each other again? When can I go back? It was awesome. I mean, and also this openness, which is really significant in your personality about being so much interested in so many different topics. So you are obviously apparently a super musician. You write beautiful songs, you write songs that people
Apparently.
resonate well. Obviously, and
You're a
you
great musician. I'm not a great
well,
musician. You're a great
oh
musician.
well, come on. And but then there are these all sorts of different interests. Let's talk about entrepreneurship, let's talk about your leadership in that, together with your wife, whom I admire. So how that kind of passion came into the scene, and how did you ever manage time wise to get hooked into in these other pursuits?
Well, it's like I said before, it all leads back to music, and everything that I'm doing now in terms of entrepreneurship, I'm the co-founder of two startups that are,
Mm.
wildly different from each other and both in pretty different sort of phases of the life cycle of startups. Um, but they're both going incredibly well. And
Mm.
both of those things feel a lot to me the same way that I felt about, writing songs and learning how to make recordings when I was 16 years old. Like these pursuits make me feel that way again.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of the driving factor in it, is like I'm obsessed with them in the same way that I got obsessed with music when I was young. So
Mm.
and being in a band in many ways is like the greatest preparation for startup that you could ever imagine. It's like, because a band is a startup. I say that all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, and every person in the band, yeah, you might have a title, like you might be the CEO or you might be the chief technology officer, you might be whatever your position is in that startup. And in a
Mm.
band, you might be the drummer or the guitar player. But in so many ways, every person in the band, especially in the beginning when the band is young and a startup, you're doing everything. You're the record label and you're the manager and you're the
Mm.
promoter and you're the agent, and you have to like figure out how to make the ship sail. You have to build the ship, and then you have to make the ship sail.
Mhm.
And so you have to be an architect, and you have to be an expert in hydrodynamics and aerodynamics and all these things. You have to just
Yeah.
learn all this stuff, and that's how
Yeah.
it is in a band. And it's the same thing with startups. Like, I started Mixhalo. Anne Marie, my wife, and I, we started Mixhalo back in 2016. Um, and it's we're solving really hard technical problems to
Mm.
stream audio in real time to scale, at scale to like many thousands, potentially infinite numbers of people, so that's a
Mm.
tough problem to solve. And when you invent new technology to solve these problems, when you solve the problems, you have to invent the technology that solves the problems. And then when more
Mm.
problems come up, you have to invent new ways to solve the problems that solve the other problems. So it's like it
Mm.
it just gets, it's hard, it's hard stuff. And
Absolutely.
so finding, really the key to it is finding the right people to work with.
Mm.
And great leaders are great delegators. Like you can't
Mm.
try and do everything by yourself. You need to learn how to like let go of certain things and allow
Mm.
other people into the process. And you also, another thing that is vitally important is weeding out the bad ones, like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
there there
Yeah.
are there are people, it's like you just, startups
Mm.
are a very high pressure situation,
Yeah.
like a band, like you're shut in with these people and
Yeah.
everyone is kind of frantically running around, and you're about to die at any minute because in startup world you're like always about to run out of money. So
Yeah.
you're either fundraising or you're trying to solve your
Trying to
problem,
deliver. Yeah, exactly.
and it's like a constant struggle and battle. So it's like not, definitely not for everyone. But
Mm.
you have to be able to recognize when someone is doing a good job and when they're being really really helpful. Like
Mhm.
delegate to them, give them responsibility, more responsibility, learn from them, like learn from the people that are doing great work. And if people are
Mhm.
not, like moving on from them can be, I mean, even just one sort of person in an organization like that that's not really like being productive can kill a startup. It
Yeah.
can, you can spend your way out of, you can lose, you can pay all your money to somebody who's not doing anything for you. So it's like
Mm.
these are lessons that you kind of have to learn, I think, um, the hard way sometimes before
Mm.
learning, and even maybe it might even take a few times.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, two questions come to my mind. First one is about your interest in science, because in both of your startups, you're totally in the science. And I remember, talking to you in long hours about cosmic constellations and the, neuroscience and computer science and biology and molecular biology and all sorts of crazy things. So that's one thing. Where does that even come from? And the other question is also, obviously you seem to manage to stick with the people with whom you work for quite a long time. So although you propagate to let go, you are quite good at picking up the right ones. So maybe there is also some inspiration for the people who are watching what to look for. So let's consider science question first and then go to the next one.
So I've always been a really curious person, and I think that if you're naturally curious about the world, um I think you just, I just naturally gravitate towards the sciences for that reason, like just out of a natural like desire to understand or have some understanding of what the world around us is,
Mm.
on a really fundamental level. Like, there are the sort of, because pretty soon you get into philosophical territory and even
Mm.
like religious territory. And and I say it with no disrespect to anyone's beliefs, but I like the sort of, major religious philosophies of the world are not satisfying to me in terms of like what we see in the world. Like
Mm.
that may be part of the
Mhm.
story, and I think it's an
Mhm.
important part of the story for sure, without question. But there is definitely, um, there is deeper knowledge to be gained, um,
Mhm.
and and to me, I like to start with what's physically around me and what can be, experimentally verified. And then once you start getting into, sort of where speculation ensues, when you're like off the edge, off the cliff of, the observable world, it's fascinating. It's like
Yeah.
it's all fascinating, and reality is so weird, And physics is so weird. Quantum physics is so weird. It's like, how could you not be fascinated by it? It's terrifying, but I naturally want to know more, so
Yeah.
that's, that a great deal of my time at Harvard was spent kind of just digging into, um, the natural sciences. For me, just, when I was younger and in school and, in high school, and I took some minimal college courses before I started touring, I was in a very different frame of mind. So the
Mhm.
first time around, learning chemistry and biology, like I didn't have the same perspective on it that I do now, or
Mm.
did then when, back when we were in Harvard together, in 2008 through 2010. I was like a sponge, I just absorbed all of
Mm.
that. Every
Yeah.
class I took, I was like so just floored by what I was learning every day, and I loved
Mm.
it. I miss that. I miss that active, being in a classroom, like just
Mm.
learning, and like it's really fun, So I mean, I find other ways to do that now, and actually, a lot of the things that I was studying then are really being put into practice every day for me. One of the startups
Yeah.
that I've been building over the last few years is a biotechnology company called Versicolor Technologies, and
Mhm.
it's fascinating to see what we're working with naturally occurring metabolites, like basically substances that are produced in the skin, in human
Mhm.
skin, by organisms that naturally live in the skin, um, and it's incredible to see what has been conserved by evolution, like what the functions of these things are.
Mm.
um, they do good things, they can do bad things, they can, the goal, I think, really is to achieve homeostasis, like to maintain a balance. That's the goal
Mhm.
of the microbiome. So when these things get out of balance, different things happen, and it's just fascinating to see. There's like this whole other world happening on on someone's skin, or
Mm.
anywhere in the ocean, in our hair, uh, everywhere
Yeah.
is like a whole nother. It's like you're in an entirely different.
Cosmos. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like going out is the same as going in.
Yeah.
It's like, so
Yeah, and
anyway.
I think your fascination with different topics and your ability to also bring together people around you with whom you can have these long and interesting discussions. Probably that's one of the things. So you that kind of makes your friendships and makes your also business relationships last long.
Well, I've had the good fortune of meeting like some really, really incredible people, like you and your husband,
Oh, thank
Matthias.
you. That's lovely.
We spent a lot of time together when we were at
Yeah.
Harvard. All of us did, and it's like I was living this life where I was, playing these, big rock concerts every night and traveling around the world and doing that, and I was doing that like over and over and over and over again, and I got to this point where I mean, it's fun and I loved it and I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form, but I was like kind of wondering, like, is there something else that I can be doing too? Like,
Mm,
is this the life I'm just gonna keep doing this, over and over and
mm,
over again, like from an intellectual perspective? And so, kind of changing my course a bit allowed me to like come into contact with people that I probably would never have been able to meet.
mm.
I'm still in touch with many of my professors, um, including you guys. 'Cause
Well,
those who don't know, Seda is my piano teacher,
oh my God.
and and
It's
um
been a
and
long time, man.
yeah,
I'm all, yeah,
and
we're
Matthias
almost in transformation. Yeah.
was my music history professor.
Exactly. And
So
look
I
where we are now. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like it's different, going to university as an adult,
Yeah.
because
Mm.
I'm like the same age, or around the same age as like my teachers, so we're connecting more like we do still have a student teacher relationship, but also like, like it's more reciprocal. And I was always spending more time with my teachers than I ever had, like when I was a younger student.
Yeah.
And I really got so much more out of it, And I think for teachers love nothing more than an interested student,
well,
to
I mean,
engage.
in our case, it was by no means a teacher-student relationship. I was so much interested in what you had to say about music, and you opened up. I mean, you were really, even if you were not necessarily like in my life every day, but all those discussions you and I and Matthias would have, and together also with Anne-Marie, all those really interesting, deep, profound conversations that they did definitely shape also how we transformed throughout our musician lives towards our entrepreneurial lives. There are actually questions coming in. So one question says, does creativity come from a focus or combination of different things for you?
Creativity always comes for me out of some form of curiosity about something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's almost like when I become curious about a subject or a sound, like if I'm playing something, and like I do this all the time, like when I'm playing, I'll hear some relationship between two notes or a chord of some kind that just sounds interesting to me, and I want to know more about it, so I kind of like keep doing it. And usually that will lead me into something that seems more interesting, and then I keep building on top of that. But it always comes from something that like feeds some type of curiosity. And it's like at a certain point it becomes like an itch that you have to scratch, like, and if I don't scratch it, I'll go crazy, like that's yeah. Yes.
Awesome. And how about, I mean, your interest in science and your time at Harvard, you studied composition, you studied, you were in courses on neuroscience and stuff like that. Did any of that afterwards also feed back into the music you've composed?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to yes, absolutely. I would say that one of the most profound things that I learned while I was at Harvard as a musician was that I was repeating patterns that I wasn't conscious that I was repeating. Like we would do these exercises where we would like, have a melody of some kind, and then we'd have to fill in the harmonization and write the chords and all these different things. And I would do certain things over and over again. And my teachers would go, oh, you did that again there, and you did it there, and you did it there, and you did it there. And I would go, oh my God, I was not conscious that I was doing that, but becoming conscious that I'm repeating a pattern, it changed my outlook on what I was doing. So how that impacts my writing, I'm not sure if I can necessarily point it out, but it definitely like made me aware of certain things, certain aspects of my writing that I just was not aware of before. So it's cool because it's like I was doing these things very naturally. And it doesn't mean I need to stop doing them, but I just, like I just became aware. It's like knowing I was becoming more aware of myself,
That's awesome. So another question is, what would be the one invention that you would like to see for music apart from your own startup?
Invention, because that's a great question. Like invention is the greatest thing in the like that's what drives me, innovation and invention is like the most exciting thing in the world, to come up with something new, whether it's a musical invention or a biotechnological invention or anything. That's the stuff dreams are made of for me. So musical invention,
Probably still sound related, no? Or
if
maybe an
there was a
instrument?
great if there was a great invention that could make me a great singer, not like auto tune, that would be a great invention. If I could be like an amazing singer, that would be a great invention.
Well, like installing a chip or something like that here.
Yep. Yep.
So, okay, how hard is it to multitask? Being a musician, composer, entrepreneur, you have to wear many hats. Is it helpful or sometimes distracting?
If I am not multitasking, I go crazy. Multitasking is like, to me, that's like swimming. It's like
Uh,
just my natural state of existence. If I don't have 20 things to do, I don't know what to do with myself. I can't go on a vacation. If I went on a vacation to like a like tropical island and like lay down on a beach or something, I would go insane. It's the
so
truth.
you always have to work because you get itchy.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Well, I think actually, just you said in the beginning, just like you said in the beginning, if you're doing something that's really fulfilling you, why would you ever want to stop doing it? You it's like if you're really happy, why would you ever want to stop being happy? Right? Well, I want to ask a question about the time after this period of coronavirus and everything. So this is the 38th episode of Entrepreneur's Kitchen. So we had very, very interesting people from all sorts of different walks of life, and and some of them were like, oh, we can't wait to go back to the normal. And some would say, we even had an astrologer who said there is no more there is no more normal. It's just a new period is going to, we're entering a new cycle, which is going to take 200 years. And 2020 is the transition, the year of transition from earth to air cycle. So, and what he said was, this is the age of new connectedness. This is the new age of being actually one. Human nature, science, everything. So he wasn't at all esoteric or anything. So how do you see it? What, in your opinion, is going to happen now?
Well, I don't think that everything is just going to go back to the way it was. I just don't think that. I mean, maybe it will, but I don't think it will. I think it will take time. And there will be a new, I think, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, one of my startups, Mixhalo. This is a unique time for Mixhalo because our technology is enabling events to happen that otherwise wouldn't really be happening, or at least would be much more difficult to have happen. And we were having this discussion, and this person I was talking to said, yeah, during this time, some new animals are going to be born. And I believe that. I think that, I never could have predicted 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that, that electronic music would progress the way that it did with DJ culture, and become so globally popular. And it went there, and it's like, there's some new thing is going to happen. And I don't know if it's a direct result of the coronavirus, but this experience is definitely kind of a diversion that's definitely changing our course a little bit. And so I think that, that comment, some new animals are going to be born. There will be new types of cultural shifts, cultural behaviors that are going to come out of this that are just unexpected and maybe not predictable.
And I mean, as a band that lives off the live shows, I mean, that's so important to be connected. Let's say, the new normal is actually live show being this extremely rare event where people come together for the next 2 years, maybe, until we have developed a vaccine and tested it and everything. So how do you see going back to that kind of normal for a musician, from a musician point of view?
It's the same thing. It's just going to be something different. I don't know what it will be yet, but there will be. I mean, people have to have that connection. So we're going to find a way to have it, but we're going to have to find a way to have it differently. And I don't know exactly what that is, but it's gonna happen. Like, something's gonna happen. So, and I'm excited for that. You know, it's just a whole different way of doing things. It's kind of the same way, you know, making music now, recording music, making recordings and releasing them is like the easiest thing in the world. Like, all you need is a phone or a laptop. Like, you don't need like a studio, and you don't need expensive equipment. Like, you can do it with next to nothing. You know, but that didn't exist, you know, 15, 20 years ago. It was starting to. It definitely didn't exist like 25, 30 years ago, not even close. And we just do things differently now, you know, like the younger generation they're totally different. The way that they look at things and what they like and what they listen to and the way they consume is really different. So I don't know what it is that's coming next, but it's going to be different in the same way. We're in a different place now than we were 10 years ago.
Can you imagine being in like a more like immersive reality, virtual reality type of space?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like virtual reality for me so far has been a little tough because honestly, like, when I put the glasses on, it makes me feel sick. It doesn't feel real to me yet. So it's only a matter of time, though. You know, it's like until we work out, you know, the latency and all these other ishes, it's gonna happen, though. You know, it's not like we'll get there. So
yeah, you know, I'm totally also philosophically interested in this question of how you would approach making music if you knew that you would never ever have the chance to play it live anymore. That's like that's a very that might be you know, a crisis that leads to new opportunities too, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, like, how would never playing that music in front of people, if you knew, how would it affect your writing? And because in a rock band, that's a large piece of the writing process is being influenced by the fact that we know we're going to be playing it in front of people. Like, that's part of what makes rock music, you know. It just is. So yeah, I don't know the answer, but it's a great question. It's a provocative question.
Yeah, I mean, you still have released your album just a couple of less than 10 days ago, approximately.
Yeah, just
maybe two weeks. Yeah,
the EP just came out a couple weeks
exactly ago. So I mean, how is that going in this time?
You know, I mean, our fans love they seem to really love I mean, it's always mixed for us. Like, I would say generally, like, our fans seem to really love it. You know, but our fans are like definitely like highly critical of everything that we do.
Oh, really?
Oh, very much so. They're so opinionated. They're so opinionated. But that's
good fans.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Any thinking group of people have an opinion, you know. So
awesome.
we welcome that, and that's great, you know. But you know, we were talking about it, and we were thinking like, well, maybe we should delay the release, and we were just like, no, this is the best time to put it out. Like, people need it, you know. People that want it, that are waiting for our music, why would we make them wait more, you know? Like,
awesome. Yeah.
So we just decided, no, we're not going to let this like get in the way. We're just going to go forward, and whatever happens, happens.
And how does it tie back to Trustful 8?
You know, we decided way back then that we wanted to make an EP. and you know, we had like a few songs that we were excited about at that time. And then some of the songs that are on side B, the original ideas for them were written at the time that we wrote side A. So
Oh, okay.
but they just didn't become songs. Like we just, you know, sometimes we just like choose to work on other things, or you know, like we have this phenomenon, you know, that happens a lot. You know, Brandon,
Mm.
I'll write tons of musical pieces and I'll send them all to Brandon, and he doesn't really like connect with them when I send them to him. And then years later, he'll be like, "Oh, that thing that you wrote is like really cool. I've got a lyric that I wrote." And that's how it happens. Sometimes it takes
Yeah.
years, you know. So like, whatever, better late than never, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, totally. And I mean, when you think about the song Carmine, it's like, oh my God, this is so fitting to the whole
yeah,
situation right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now we've got several songs that, you know, there are several Incubus songs that, you know, we've put out in the past that are like kind of strangely relevant right now. Like we have a song
Yeah.
called Agoraphobia that was on our album Prologue to the Murder, and it's like listening
Oh
to the
my God.
lyrics of that song right now is like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
what is happening?
That's really amazing. So you have a foresight.
I wouldn't say that, but you know, it seems to fit together, you know.
Yeah, it totally does. Well, Mike, I mean, I want to thank you. We're almost at the end of the show. I know that you have another commitment right after this. Um, at the Entrepreneur's Kitchen, we always ask for a joke.
Joke, okay.
Yeah, do you have a joke in your mind you can tell us? Something that's
Um,
gonna cheer up.
yeah, one joke that I've always liked. It's really I love stupid, corny jokes.
Me
So
too, me too.
yeah, um, yeah. So do you know the joke about the scarecrow who won a Nobel Prize?
No.
He was outstanding in his field. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well, it's like first it takes a while, and then you're like, oh, this is awesome.
It's a
Very
very,
good.
very, very,
I
very
love it.
corny joke.
I love corny jokes. Mine is also really corny. And since you're a guitar player, I came up with a guitar one.
Okay.
Are you
Let's see.
ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
What does Al Gore play on a guitar?
What?
An algorithm.
Oh, nice. You made that one up? That's
No.
great. Just say you did. It's fantastic.
Okay.
It's a great joke. I love that. I'm gonna use it.
Please.
I'm gonna use it. No,
I'm sure Al Gore won't care. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Anne
He'll like
Marie
it.
that one right now, and I bet you anything she'll get the answer before I can say it to her. That's how she is. She'll get that. So anyway.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. So my soup is almost done. I'm going to just have to, mix it and then put some cream in it. If you guys want a very healthy broccoli soup recipe, I'm going to write it to Anne Marie and to you so you can. Are you growing broccoli? You have to grow broccoli.
Yeah, we are.
See? Yeah. So some broccoli, onions, and you're good to go.
We have
Mike,
broccoli.
I wanted. Sorry. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm wishing you and Anne-Marie and the kids and the band all the best. Please hug everyone for us from Salzburg, and looking forward to seeing you guys all sometime soon in, somewhere in the world.
And likewise, thank you for having me, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, if you have 5 more minutes, just hang out, please, in the line while I say bye, because I want to hang out 5 more minutes with you.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Guys out there, thank you so much. This has been a great Friday. This is the best ending for a Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the show next week, starting on Monday again. And I will be having lots of great, interesting minds, super guests. So please tune in to Entrepreneur's Kitchen and, stay spiced up. Bye.